Right then, lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. We are back again. Hassan has told me, Cossy, this is what Hassan has said, and this is the comment. I'm just going to display this comment because it's funny, and then we begin the show. He said, Cossy, you have been in the village that you skipped that morning show. Really. But anyway, Blank says I'm too close to the mic. Okay, let me just. I hope that's fine. I hope that is okay. Sean Blank, I hope that's fine. I think it's the mixer, it's not the mic. I think it's the mixer. But anyway, guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, parts of the world. We're going to be discussing lots of Arsenal stuff, really. There is talks of Bruno Guimaraes that I've leaked. I had to do this story in the morning show, but I failed to do that. I'm very sorry. So we're going to be discussing Dejan Kulusevski according to the Athletic. We're going to be discussing the Athletic coming out and confirming around 5 striker targets that Arsenal are going to be looking at, especially in January and in the summer. And we're also going to be looking at the fact that Arsenal have begun talks with Bruno Guimaraes as well, according to a couple of reports from France. And the fact that Liverpool are much interested still in Bukayo Saka, it is still really baffling. In my head, why they are sticking their noses on Bukayo Saka. Because again, another outlet today, last time it was the Daily Mail, and I came out and said, the Daily Mail have actually come out and said Liverpool want Saka, and Saka representatives would love to explore a move. But again, now it is Football 365. They've come out, they're 365, and they've come out and said Liverpool want to bring in Bukayo Saka to the Anfield in an attempt to bring down the edge of their attack. So it's quite interesting. We're going to be discussing this because it's a chance for us to discuss it live as we enter the new year. Lots of content today as we enter the new year, lots of content to talk about, and so we're going to be discussing that. We're sponsored by the people at Melbet, who are telling you that as we enter the new year, as we enter 2022, make sure you do earn some little money of your main source of income by betting with them. It's easy. Link is in the video description. Join them. Just place a bet. It's Manchester City Arsenal tomorrow. It's a difficult game. I'm going to go with both teams to score. I think it's an easy score. Both teams to score. If you can do that, I think you will walk away with some money. I don't see how Manchester City, will fail to score in this Arsenal side. And then I don't see how, despite the fact that we do not have the manager, and it's a very big turning point in the preview we're gonna do. I don't see how we shall fail to beat to score against Manchester City. We might not beat them, but we at home. We have been really doing well at home, so it could be both teams to score. Let's go for that. But anyway, let's get to the content, lads. Let's start off with a report from Football 356, which is actually just retaliating the words that were actually brought out by the Mail Online a couple of days ago. Now, according to Football 356, they are saying Liverpool want to bring Bukayo Saka to the Anfield in an attempt to bring down the edge of their attack. That is according to Football 356. Look, listen, people. I've always said this about young players, and it is always too bad that agents do it. I don't know to what extent the agent wants a clear contract and a very huge contract and a clean contract for his player. But I think for me, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. Listen, can Liverpool be interested in Bukayo Saka? I think it is anyone in the world, be it Madrid, be it Barcelona, be it Bayern, any club will be interested in Bukayo. He's a very good player. We know he's a top player now. He's one of those Premier League players that when you're going to play against him, he's a special case of how do we stop him. I mean, that is the level at which Bukayo Saka is. He's no longer an ordinary player. He's no longer a teenager that is coming up. He's already turned 20 years, and he's really developed so well that in the past 2 years, actually in the 2 years of his career that we've seen him, he's actually come a very long way. So Liverpool, man is turning 30. They might need someone in there. They've already got Jota. I think they're afraid that if they cannot keep Salah, because Salah wants around 400,000 a contract, in terms of salary, probably 0.5 in terms of salary, they might not be able to get to that to get to that pace, to get that level where they can pay Mohamed Salah all that money. So what is going to happen is they're going to try to look elsewhere. But I think why Saka is vulnerable, and why I think we are vulnerable as Arsenal Football Club. Saka at the moment, his contract will be running down in the next around 2 years. That's why I said if you're going to sign these guys, give them until 2027 and make sure their contracts are at least 500 million, at least $1 billion, because we've seen these ridiculous release clauses placed by Barcelona. $1 billion in Ferran Torres' contract, $1 billion in Pedri's contract. It's gonna be $1 billion in Gavi's contract. So look, Saka, can we afford to lose Saka? Honestly, lads, no. This is a young project that we're building slowly and surely. You can't start losing the building blocks, because Saka is not just a part of this process. At the moment, he is the face of this project. He's part of the face. If there is any player right now marketable in the Arsenal side, I think it is Bukayo Saka. I think it is Saka. He's the most marketable. His face. At the moment, he is the face of the project. Whether or not it's going to be the long-term face of this new project that Arsenal bringing in, that's a very, very different question. But we've got to understand that Saka at the moment, he is the face. He is one of the pioneers of this project. We know under Unai Emery, these young lads. It started under Unai Emery. It didn't start under Mikel Arteta. I think under Mikel Arteta, it was given more priority to give the young lads, football and things like that. It started with Unai Emery when he signed in the likes of Saliba and he stayed out on loan when he brought in the likes of Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, all those young lads. They were given chance by Unai Emery. So Saka is as important as the project. If Arsenal believe this project is important, if Arsenal believe this project is going somewhere, I'm telling you, Saka has to stay. Definitely. We've got to do voice not clear. Please ask no Dental Club. The voice is not clear. Oh God. Is my mic clear? Let me know, lads, in the comment section below. Is the mic clear? Is the mic clear? I don't know why people are saying it's not very clear. Maybe I could just reduce a little bit. Let me know if the voice is if the sound is clear. Let me know. So lads, my point about Bukayo Saka is it's difficult. It's difficult to fight a club like Liverpool if you're Bukayo Saka. It's very, very difficult, and I think this should be a war. This should be a conflict really between Liverpool and Arsenal. It shouldn't be between Saka and Liverpool, because Liverpool at the moment, they are so attractive. They have a world class manager. They have a world class squad. They have won things in the last 5 years, half a decade. They're Champions League there. They have a league there. They have finished runners up, almost all the time, and they're very promising, right? Their squad is really promising. They can just tell him, come to Liverpool. You're going to be playing around quality players, world class players. He's looking at the likes of Thiago. He's looking at the likes of Keita. He's looking at the likes of Sadio Mane, Salah, Jota. Really, there is a lot of quality in Liverpool, and because he knows that, his self-actualization would actually arrive earlier at Liverpool, rather than at Arsenal. But I think it is all about Arsenal. we've got to do whatever we need to keep him. I think this is an attempt by his representatives to get more money. Agents do this all the time. I'm not really even scared about it. I don't know why I'm not scared. I mean, there's so many people that are really scared about this. I'm not even scared about this Saka saga. I think it is the agent. He wants us to give him a new deal, and the new deal should have lots and lots of money. I think they deserve the money. I think Saka deserves the money. He's really been a very great player, a very, very, very good, good player for Arsenal, and actually a key player in all our seasons in the past 2 years. He's been a very key player. What I admire about Saka most is he's young, and the level of consistency that he has, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. How many Arsenal players have we seen in the last 5 years perform at such a consistent level? How many of them? There's so many, but last season Saka was really, really unplayable. This season, again, he's just maintaining that level of consistency. He's not dropping as a player. Of course, there are those games where it's not going to be good. You're going to have 2-3 games where it's not good, but you just admire his, the level of consistency. You just admire, the level that he does it all the time. He's just that kind of player that creates the magic moments, season in, season out, 2 seasons. Look, it's early, but for a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, you've got to give him lots and lots of credit, because we've seen players like Nicola Pepe. They've come in and they've had just moments of brilliance, moments of magic, and then they've disappeared. But Saka, what a talent he is, but what kind of commitment this lad has, what kind of consistency this lad has. He's played so many games for Arsenal. First of all, I think it's one of those players in the last 2 seasons, if you could combine this season or in the last 2 years, that have really played a very huge amount of games for Arsenal, for both their national team and their club, and they're still consistently doing it. I mean, I'm very, very, very proud of Bukayo Saka. I can't even lie about that. I'm so proud of Bukayo Saka. He's an absolute genius. He is an absolute genius. So I'm not really saying that Liverpool can't take him. They can, but can they pay 150 million? Can they pay 200 million pounds? That is the question. Because look, I think this one is an easy one for Arsenal. Any club that wants Saka, I doubt it will be a club outside England, because I've seen Madrid interested. I've seen a couple of clubs interested. But look, Liverpool for me is a shocker. But just shock them with the money. I mean, no one is gonna say, how dare you ask 200 million for Bukayo Saka. No one is gonna say that, because we know how good he is, and we know that he's really been developing at a very, very fast rate. So let me know, lads, in the comment section below, what do you think about Saka to Liverpool? Is it something that you'd agree to? I mean, last summer I said to sell Saka and bring in new players, I would do that. At this point in time, I wouldn't do it, because already we have the structure that we need. If you're selling Saka at the moment, you're selling part of the structure, you're selling part of the pillars. We can't afford to do that. We've laid the foundation. Whether it is strong, whether it is good enough, we could care less. Couldn't we? We could care less, as long as we have our players in there. So the structure is there. We don't need to touch the structure. We don't need to touch the pillars. Just now adding around 2 to 3 players, adding a central midfielder, adding a holding midfielder, adding a striker, and things are going to be very, very fine. The likes of William Saliba will be coming back next season, and they're going to be part of this very, very interesting project, very interesting squad. So Saka to Liverpool, I don't want to hear about. I don't want to hear about it. I hope I never hear about it. Ever again. But it's there, lads. It's there. Reported by Football 256. And why it caught my attention. It's not the first time it's been reported. This is the second time that Saka to Liverpool has actually been reported, and that's why I decided to give it some minutes. Right, and then let's move over to what is happening, elsewhere in terms of Arsenal transfers. Aubameyang wants to return to Italy. That's according to Football Transfers via Romeo Agresti. They're saying that Romeo Agresti works with Calcio Mercato. They're saying Aubameyang wants to return to Italy. His encourage claims to be in contact with Juventus. Everyone at the club denies it, but watch out, this name Juve and Aubameyang, it could be something real. So look, lads, I'm very sorry, because we didn't have the morning show and I was about to refer to it. I was about to refer to the morning show, yet we didn't have it. So the story is that according to Calcio Mercato, Aubameyang and his agents are actually in talks with they're in talks with Juve to see that the player actually crosses over. It's gonna be in AFCON number one, that is in January, so it's gonna be more of his agents and Juve talking. We know, at least we understand that Juve do want to bring in a top striker. They're also having financial constraints. This might be a very, very good deal for them. So when I thought about Aubameyang to Juve, I think about, of course, he said that he wants to go back to Italy and things like that. I understand that, but at the moment, Alvaro Morata might make a switch, might make a move to FC Barcelona, because according to Fabrizio Romano, he has said that Barcelona are much interested now in getting in Alvaro Morata, and they're working on that deal. So if Alvaro Morata crosses over to Barcelona, then there is a higher chance of Aubameyang stepping in as the striker, stepping in as the replacement of Alvaro Morata at Juve. My thoughts about Aubameyang moving away from Arsenal will not change. I think it's the perfect thing to do for him, and I just feel like going to Juve, it's just perfect, right? Because look, I think Juve at this point in time, they do need to bring in a perfect striker, a top striker. Aubameyang can do that for you. It's gonna be the wages. I think it's going to be the wages. Either he lives on a loan deal from Arsenal, and Arsenal commit to around 50% of his 50% of his wages, or alternatively, what we can do, and I think this is something that we definitely have to do, is look, cancelling this contract, can it work? I do not know, but I think a loan deal to Juve would work. Initially pay half of his wages, let him go to Juve, and in the summer, if he does well, then Juve can actually sign him. So look, this is a win-win situation. Juve get Aubameyang, Arsenal get rid of Aubameyang, because at the moment he's only eating up space. There is nothing that he's going to be providing us with, and then Aubameyang also relieves himself of the stress that has been having at Arsenal. It's perfect. It's absolutely very, very, very perfect. So what do you think about that, lads? Aubameyang to Juve, I look at it and I'm like, this is a perfect deal. Go there, son. Live your life. Life at Arsenal is over. I mean, there is no point of forcing things. All reports just indicate one thing, that he's no longer welcome at Arsenal Football Club. So there isn't really anything to bring back. The relationship has cracked, and the best way to do is to actually get out of it. So I think going to Juve is good. One, they guarantee him Champions League. They're poor. Okay, they're broke. They're not poor, but they're broke. They have financial problems. They might not give him the kind of wage that that he wants, but at least he's going to have a clear conscience when it goes to Italy. And you never know, he's still a very, very young player. In terms of strikers these days, Ronaldo, Messi, Robert Lewandowski, Karim Benzema, they're performing at a very, very top level, right? They're performing at a very, very top level, and it's that thing that I really admire. Players performing at a very top level at a very old age. You look at the likes of Edson Cavani. He's coming at Manchester United. Yes, he's not really done very, very well, like many Manchester United fans want us to believe, but at least it's there, right? He's there. So I think Aubameyang still has some 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years, right? On his career. Should he be wasting that time in Europe? Maybe. I mean, Juve is not a bad club, after all. Yes, they're on a decline, and they're looking to, make things better. But, it's okay. If it goes to Juve, it's okay. I think it will be a very, very good deal for the player. So that story is also moving around. All right, let's first talk about Bruno Guimaraes. Now, Nicolo Schira, this lad, my God, this lad is becoming one of my top journalists. Right? Is an expert in. Please make sure you do follow him on Twitter. He has 180,000.3, actually 180.3 thousand followers on Twitter. Is a sports journalist. in Portugal, and he's currently an expert in the transfer market. Right, so I think I started following him right from the summer, and at first I didn't really give him lots of credibility. But what I liked about him, actually, I started following him with the Rafael Varane deal, because that's when I first saw him, tweeting, and he tweeted more oftenly and faster than Fabrizio Romano in some instances, and that's when I developed that kind of instinct to follow him and things like that. And he's a really good journalist, very very good journalist. I can confirm that Nicola Shearer, Romeo Agresti, and then Ekrem Kona as well. Are those the ones we've been following very very closely? I also think Dean Jones as well. I think those 4 journalists that we picked up in the summer have really been doing a very great job. Of course, the others from the Athletic, the likes of Kajumba, the likes of Charles Watts from Goal, we know them. But Nicola Shearer, this is what he's actually put out. So I only gave him a background so that you can actually believe the story, because it's really believable. 9 hours ago, he has said Arsenal are really interested in Olympic Lyonnais midfielder Bruno Guimaraes. Edu loves him and he has open talks to try to sign him. Transfers AFC Olympic Marseille. Right, so this is Nicola Shearer, one of the journalists now I do follow, and I really trust him. So make sure you do give him a follow. And of course, I told you, if you want to keep yourself with the latest, follow me on Twitter. I do retweet most of this work. I do retweet it most of the time, so that I can actually keep track, compare the stories, and try to give you something I've really compared. So of course, we know that Bruno Guimaraes is back on the Arsenal radar. At least that one we know. He's back on the radar. It's around 48 hours now that reports have been reported. Lyon, they're coming out and pesting the price. They've said, if you do not have 40 million euros, you're not coming anywhere close to signing Bruno Guimaraes. Now, Nicola Shearer says, we are interested, really interested. Olympique Lyonnais understand our interest, and talks have been opened to try to sign him. Look, I've always said this: it's a bargain. It's a bargain. It's a bargain. However, how many times I think about it. Look, I could be wrong. He could come to the Premier League and things don't work out. He could come to the Premier League and he becomes a flop. But at the moment, 24 years of age, and his versatility, his ability, it is a bargain. I can't change my mind on that. I can't change my thoughts on that. It's a bargain. Get him in. Whenever we have the chance, we've got to first sign in Bruno Guimaraes. There are a couple of other midfielders that we're going to talk about in this video, especially Douglas Luiz back on the radar as well. I think Douglas Luiz was on the Arsenal radar in 2019, 2020. I think last summer, batch 1, because that's when we were interested in Thomas Partey, Hasamoa, and Douglas Luiz. Again, Douglas Luiz is another top player. I'm going to try to compare the two Brazilian players and see who would actually play better for us. No, but of course, because Luiz has that kind of Premier League experience, he's really played at a very top level, with Aston Villa. But anyway, let's talk about Bruno Guimaraes. So Guimaraes, at the moment, Arsenal have open talks, according to Nicola Shearer. Edwards open talks to try to sign the player. Can it be a January transfer deal? It's a difficult one, very difficult one, because Lyon, at the moment, like I've always told you, lads, Lyon do have to secure their future. It's the same. It's the same with many clubs. That's why Gladbach decided they will let go of Denis Zakaria for free in the summer, but they cannot let him go, in January, because they know when you let go of a player in January, it's hard to find a replacement. It's very hard to find a replacement, and I think that is what Lyon are looking at the moment. In the league, they're one of the biggest clubs, we know that. Where are you, Lyon, on the league table? Do not embarrass me, please. Olympique Lyon, they're 13th on the table. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're 13th, but listen to this: they're 13th on the table. They played 18 games. They have a game in hand. And if they win it, there will be 27 points. They'll be on the same number of points as Lens. Actually, Lens do have 19 games and they have 27 points. They have a goal difference of 5. So listen, if Lyon win the game in hand, they have. I don't know whichever crap club they are playing, but if they play their game in hand, that means that they'll be on the same number of points as Lens on 27, and there will be only 2 points of Monaco, only 2 points of Monaco, and only 4 points of top 4. Right? That is if they win the next game. So they're not very far. Let me tell you something. It's the beauty with the French League One. I mean, the Premier League is so competitive. It's one of the best leagues in the world. I love it. But you're too close to the mic. It's affecting the sound quality. Seriously. Sorry. Work on your audio. The mic is capturing too much noise. So sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I didn't realize that. Didn't realize that. I hope that will make it better. I've just reduced the main mix, there on my mixer. I hope that is better. Let me know if that's a little bit better. All right. Just let me know if that's a little bit better. So with Bruno Guimaraes and that deal, it's a deal I'll do 100%. It's a deal I'll do 100%. But in January, can you do that? I do not think. I think Lyon, will be thinking about it in a couple of in a couple of ways. One, he's one of their best performers, in the league. And if they do stand, if they want to stand a chance to go back to the Champions League, Europa League, there is only one way. There is only one way back to the top. They've got to stick to their best players. So listen, Bruno Guimaraes, January, no. But in the summer, definitely go for him. Yeah. Let's definitely go for him in the summer, because I think in the summer it's going to be again one of those transfers that are going to be heating up. One of those transfers that are going to be very, very interesting. Listen, we are also interested in Douglas Luiz. Let me know if the audio is better. Let me know if my audio is better, because I'm going to be going to the next story, which is Douglas Luiz. So this is according to ESPN, and it is Lorenz Julian, who's actually put out the story, and he said that Mikel Arteta is keen on signing a holding midfielder. Aston Villa's Douglas Luiz is on his radar. Back again. It's not the first time we've been linked with Douglas Luiz, right? It's not the first time. Sorry guys about the audio. I think my mixer really turns itself up and down automatically, so I didn't realize that. So I'm very, very sorry. So lads, Douglas Luiz now, right? Douglas Luiz is the player we are talking about. Luiz and Bruno Guimaraes play in the same area, so that means it's either Luiz or Guimarez. It can't be both of them, right? And then it just reminds me of this story that I've been looking at very, very closely, and I'm going to be reading it for you, which is quite interesting, very interesting. Okay, where is the story? It was published by Duncan Castles, and he was saying that after missing out on Jorginho, Mikel Arteta will now turn his attention to Douglas Luiz as he looks to get in a new holding midfielder. So, why I'm interested in that excerpt really is that I've always told you that Mikel is a very, very cautious manager defensive-wise, and he's a very conservative manager. And now, looking at the players he wants to bring in, because I've always said that, players like Renato are readily available, and that deal is very, very open for us to complete. Players like Arthur are readily available, and that deal is very, very open for us to complete. I've always asked myself, why then don't Arsenal just decide that we are going to be signing in Arthur or Renato? But I now do understand. If you look at the latest caliber of names that is actually being looked at as a holding midfielder, you understand what Mikel Arteta is looking for in that player that's going to be playing next to Thomas Partey. He's not looking for flair. He's not looking for absolute brilliance. He's not looking for that. He's looking for someone like Jorginho, right? That Italian at Chelsea. He's looking at that kind of player that just picks up the ball and passes it accurately, distributes it across the pitch accurately, but is also really responsible with defensive duties. He doesn't want someone who commits to going forward like Arthur Melo, because I think that's what Arthur Melo does. Very, very good player going forward. He's going to commit his body, he's going to commit his mind to going forward, to creating chances and things like that. And then defensive wise, he is a little bit of a liability. So this is a classic example of what Mikel Arteta wants, Douglas Luiz. And I was always waiting for a name like this. That's why we were in the summer, we were genuinely linked to Ruben Neves. Because again, Ruben Neves is that kind of player that provides you with that. I think what Arsenal are looking at is they're looking at someone who will be replacing Granit Xhaka through and through. Someone that doesn't have all this kind of flair, someone that doesn't have all this kind of luxury going forward and things like that, just delivers enough in terms of going forward. And then his defensive duties, his defensive part of the game is actually very, very up top. And that's why Fabrizio did come out and say that Bissouma and Partey were not very similar, Arsenal would have gone for Yves Bissouma. They just want someone who's a little bit different. But again, that is the suit. That's the caliber of players they want. So Bruno Guimaraes or Douglas Luiz, I think each of them has their own advantages. Douglas Luiz, first and foremost, has played in the Premier League. It's a top, it's a top league. It's a top level. He's been in the Championship. He's been in the Premier League, and he's performed at that level very, very consistently. I mean, you've got to give it to him. Honestly, you've got to give it to him. He's played at that level very consistently. Bruno Guimaraes on the other side played played for Lyon, played in France. He's never played at the top level like in the Premier League. So Douglas Luiz there gets the benefit the benefit of the doubt. But one thing I'm going to say about Luiz and Guimaraes, I think Guimarez is more talented, and there is much more to get, and he has much more to offer than Douglas Luiz. Luiz for me is a simple midfielder like Jorginho. They're good because what makes them special is they do what they do perfectly and consistently. They pick up the ball and pass it forward. They pick up the ball and pass it sideways. They pick up the ball and make those those passes. They just spread. If you look at their heat maps, if you look at their average positions, that's what they do. They pick up the ball and just spread it around the pitch. That is Jorginho. That is Douglas Luiz. A player like that. I think some kind of Lodri kind of player, some kind of Ike Gundogan kind of player, but I think Gundogan is a little bit more like Bruno Guimaraes, and that's why I'll take Bruno Guimaraes, because I want that kind of player that, yes, he can do the defensive duties, and I think Guimaraes can. I think he can also do the offensive duties very well. But I just want someone who can bring in something different. I was rewatching Santi Cazorla, some of Santi Cazorla's goals for Arsenal, and you could hardly believe that guy was a number 8. He was a number 8. He could play in the pivot. You could play him in a 4-3-3. You could play him in a 4-2-3-1. You could play him in a 4-1-4-1. He was a number 8 through and through, but he was absolutely brilliant. There's something with Sami Nadri. I mean, those kind of players that are just so fluid. You just love them. And I don't think every player who plays like that is a liability. Right. And I think that is what Mikel Arteta is really afraid of. He wants to lean against the wall. He wants to bring in. Your voice is clear. Right. Thank you so much, Mohamed. So he wants to lean against the wall. He doesn't want to bring in someone. He doesn't want to bring in a player who's going to be too fancy, right? He just wants that kind of player that is, midway, fancy and not very, very fancy. Bruno Guimaraes for me is that kind of player. If we got him in, he has a lot to offer. He has a lot to offer, especially with this talented Arsenal side. You just need to explore as many things as you can. I think when I look at Martin Odegaard, he needs that kind of talent that's gonna understand him in the midfield. Partey does it, but when I look at Odegaard and Partey, there's a vast difference. There's a very, very big difference in terms of quality. I think they're really, really quality players, and we are so lucky to have them. But in terms of talent, Martin Odegaard is way, way exceptional. Just imagine that midfield when we had Fabregas and Samuel Nasri. The kind of communication that you have between those two it's almost natural. It's almost it was almost like they played like 100 years together. It comes from the talents, because they're really talented. They know what to do. They know what to expect and things like that. So for me, Bruno Guimaraes is still the player I would go for. But of course, guys, I cannot discuss all these stories in depth because there's so many stories I want us to touch. So let's move on to the next one, which is Arsenal being one of the 4 clubs in the Premier League to contact Ousmane Dembele. Right. So I've looked at this story, and you know what I said when I saw it? I was like, okay, finally it's out in the news. So what? Right? So what? So listen, the story is that Arsenal, among other Premier League clubs, will have contacted Ousmane Dembele to try to sign him on a free in the summer, because according to what I understand, he has refused to sign a new contract with AFC Barcelona. Liverpool, Newcastle, and Arsenal, and those are the 3 clubs I can confirm at the moment. But Tottenham Hotspur is also rumored to be interested, as well as Manchester United. They're also rumored to be interested, and Everton as well. So there are many clubs that are interested in that man there, the big Ousmane Dembele. Let's sincerely speak about Dembele. Dembele is a talent. Is a huge talent, right? But he's costly at the moment. He's really costly. I think Arsenal, however much we've spent 150 million, in the summer, we've got to be cautious. We've got to be very, very cautious. We can't just, we can't just go out there recklessly spending, recklessly and giving players contracts, on a luxury. Pepe at the moment is is occupying that area, and Arsenal looking at Dejan Kulusevski, who I believe would be a very, very good replacement. And I'll say that again. I believe he would be a very good replacement of Nicola Pepe. He plays, with his left foot as a player, and that means he can play for you on the left wing and as well on the right wing as an inverted winger. I think it's quite interesting. It would be quite very interesting if we decided to go for Dejan Kulusevski over Ousmane Dembele. Because Dembele, yes, you're getting him on a free. He's talented, but he's costly. Very, very costly. One, you're looking at a very injury-prone player. You're looking at a player whose wages are currently, I think currently his wages are 230,000 at FC Barcelona, and he doesn't want to sign a new contract. He wants to get a new club that's going to give him lots and lots of money. I don't think Arsenal should be falling for that, honestly. I don't think we should be falling to that lousily, because for me it's lousy. It's lousy. We shouldn't be falling for that. I mean, just ignore that deal. Kulusevski is a very, very good deal. He's one player you bring in. You're very, very sure that if he comes in there at Arsenal, everything is going to be set right. Everything is going to be okay. He can sit on the bench patiently, wait and go, and fight, with the likes of Saka, Martinelli, and a couple of like that. I don't think he's that frustrated. His age bracket 24. He's just perfect. Ousmane Dembele, no, definitely no. I've said that when he was linked with the swap deal with our captain, our former captain, and that, again today I'm going to say Ousmane Dembele. No, not the player I would do for Arsenal. Yeah, at the moment, not the player I would do for Arsenal. Definitely not. But the Athletic have actually identified our striker priorities, lads. And they have, finally, the English media. You remember when I told you about Dusan Vlahovic, the first report I made, if you've been following this channel consistently, I said we can only believe, reports from Italy because they are closer to the player. Because all the reports in the UK claimed that there was no contact. There was nothing like contact between Arsenal and Dusan Vlahovic. And I still remember Charles Watt saying that Arsenal are not even interested in the player. It's not that they were trying to speak lies, because I do trust most of those sources. I do trust Goal.com. And I trust, Charles Watts 100%. I trust Chris Whitley as well. But most of them actually came out and said, Arsenal is not interested in all these strikers that they're being linked with. And finally, you know what? They're coming around. They have started coming around. And the latest now is from The Athletic. This is what they've said. Arsenal have a short list of transfer priorities in the striking position. And these are the strikers. Number one, they claim that Dusan Vlahovic is our priority, despite the fact that we understand the deal is going to be very, very difficult for us to do. He is our priority, and we will try to get him, whichever way possible. The other striker that we are linked with is, Alexander Isak. That is according to The Athletic. Alexander Isak is the other one, and Jonathan David is the other. Now, from the UK, they have mentioned Ollie Watkins, and we are going to be discussing Ollie Watkins in depth, because today The Athletic and ESPN have actually given him more time than any other striker. They have talked about Ollie Watkins. They have talked about Calvert Dominic Lewin. So there are 5 strikers that I know of from The Athletic today that will be on the priorities to join Arsenal. There are 5. 3 are abroad, and 2 of them are actually in the Premier League. But on Ollie Watkins, that is where the emphasis has been today, because a lot of talk has actually been written, a lot of things have been said about Ollie Watkins. But this is what the ESPN have said. So ESPN say Arteta is a fan of Ollie Watkins' playing style and ability to play in a number of different roles in attack. There has been no direct contact between Arsenal and Aston Villa, and a switch in January would be highly unlikely. But he will be monitored ahead of a summer move. And I'll say that again, ESPN are confirming that Mikel Arteta is a big fan of Ollie Watkins. Very big fan, and although there is no contact at the moment, in the summer the player will be monitored ahead of a summer move. I think I love Ollie Watkins. I've already said this, that don't give me the DCL, do not give me Jonathan David, do not give me Ivan Toney. Give me Ollie Watkins. Look, listen, lads. I think there are those players that I believe have lots and lots of potential, and at the moment they are really underrated. I think Ollie Watkins is one of them. And like Mikel Arteta and ESPN are saying, Mikel Arteta is intrigued and interested, in the player because of his ability to play in different roles, in attack. We saw him last season. He was playing in that kind of 4-2-3-1 as the only striker there for Aston Villa. This season, as they started, he played in a 4-4-2 where he was playing with Danny Ings, because the introduction of Danny Ings meant that he was going to get a partner. So he was playing in a 4-4-2, but of course he can also play in a 4-3-3 where you play him just on any of the wings. I don't think he can play as a 10, but I think he can play as a false 9 as well. He's so talented. Is very, very talented. And what he has done more than Ivan Toney, because both of them have been at Brentford in the Championship. Let's look at Ollie Watkins, and I'm going to tell you that if there is a player Arsenal are guessing right, it is Ollie Watkins. Definitely, it is Ollie Watkins. So stats. Let me just read you some of the stats of Ollie Watkins here, and then you're going to see what I'm talking about. So at Brentford, In the 2019, okay, let's start off with the 20. Let me tell you about his time at Brentford. 2017-2018, played 45 games and scored 10 goals. 2018-2019, played 41 games and scored 10 goals. And all those are in the championship. We are looking at 10 goals with 4 assists and 10 goals with 6 assists between those 2 seasons. Actually, between those 2 seasons, he played a total of 86 games, scored 20 goals, and assisted 10 times. In the 2019-2020 season, the last season he played for Brentford, he played 49 games. That was really, really a lot of games, and he scored 26 goals. Scored 26 goals with 3 assists. He's really, really been developing very, very well. So for Aston Villa, which is actually interesting, last season he actually played 37 games and he scored for them 14 goals. He played 37 games and scored for them 14 goals. We're looking at a player who 14 goals, 5 assists. That is, he got involved in 19 goals altogether last season. We are looking at a player who is coming from the championship. We are looking at a player who is really making a very, very big jump from the championship to the Premier League. Scoring, getting those kind of numbers is not that easy. It's definitely not that easy. This season, however much he started off, injured, he's already played 16 games, scored 5 goals, and 1 assist. So in 16 games, he has already engaged in 6 goals. Last season, he engaged in 19 goals. This season so far, out of the possible, because how many games can he play now? He can play around 36 games, if I'm not mistaken. He can play around 36 to 35 games, and he has already engaged in 6 goals. I think for me, he's a beauty. He's a beauty. I mean, Vlahovic is a good goal scorer. Jonathan David is, but there are no guarantees that if they come to the Premier League, they're gonna work out. But I think Ollie Watkins, that is what he provides. He is a guarantee. He is a guarantee that I'm gonna come at Arsenal and I'm gonna do it very well. Look, listen, guys. It's a difficult one, and I'm preparing a show which I think I will name the top 10. I'm going to do the top 10 strikers and then the top 10 midfielders Arsenal should be signing, because we need to really compare these lads. Watkins is underrated among all our targets. He gets the list attention, but I think he deserves more attention than some players. He does, because look, I think ahead of him you would say Vlahovic is ahead of him. Who else? Alexander Isak's numbers are not that big. His numbers are not really that big. Honestly, he's a good player, but his numbers aren't that big. Jonathan David, he's only having his breakaway season as well. I mean, last season and this season, he's just getting to his breakaway. So Watkins, he's got the Premier League experience now. He understands English defenses. He's 26, which means his age is not yet out of range. I would do Ollie Watkins definitely. I would definitely do Ollie Watkins. But anyway, lads, I do have a lot of shows to do today, so we might not have it as long as we want. Jen says, Cossy, what of the green light for Renato? We need him. Thank you. How are you doing, Jen's Hire? Hope you're doing really well, and thank you for always joining in. So, with Renato Sanchez, it looks like Lille and the player are positive. But on the side of Arsenal, talks have been opened, like I reported. Talks are there. There is nothing I'm getting. There is no information I'm getting from the negotiation was. And what is more frightening is that Arsenal are trying to look at now Douglas Luiz and Bruno Guimaraes. Look, Genesis, would you like Bruno Guimarez or Renato? Personally, I would do Bruno Guimaraes. I think he's the better player. Joseph says, Happy New Year, Cossy. Happy New Year to Njeru. Ibrahim says, Happy New Year in advance, Cossy. Mohammed says, the face is very clear now. Maximin says, if Bukayo Saka go to Liverpool, I'm no more Arsenal fan. These disappointments have been around. Yeah, these disappointments have been around. And I don't think Look, we've been heartbroken before as Arsenal fans, honestly. Yeah, we've been heartbroken before. So, can this happen again? I think it can. You never know. I think it can't happen again. I want Renato. His talent is not normal. Yeah, he's really talented. But watch Bruno Guimaraes as well. Yeah, watch Bruno Guimaraes as well. He's another phenomenal talent. He's another phenomenal talent, really. James. But Guimarez is perfect. But I think both of them are really phenomenal. I can't speak much about them because I'm going to dedicate a full show to midfielders and a full show to strikers, in January. But I think both of them are perfect. Yeah, both of them are really, really perfect. So, guys, I'm going to have to call it, a show right now. I'm going to prepare for the preview and then, the Mikel Arteta's press conference. So, stay well, and I'm going to be speaking to you very, very soon in almost 1 hour and a half. James High says, what about Declan Rice? Rice is a very good player, but his pricing is over the top.